the price per unit.
I did leave the price. It's working. They're keeping me happy with that. I'm actually working on so she has come in and really let me do that.
You see that time lapse thing of late cranberry? Yeah. How they did that because we had to really get up quick. We're going to talk about it. That's right.
What?
Just some rain?
Yeah, just some rain, maybe a little bit of wind gusts, yeah, those, no, it's tearing me up over here, but it's all good.
Okay, well, we'll keep posted, I trust, between you and Jeff.
Yeah, when one of them dives under the table, I think we should all follow suit.
Well, I don't know Bob Freeman back there, he is our EMC for the city of Euless, so we will follow his lead.
Well, Bob's so shy, you know. And you might not die, so. So we better go with it. Do we have any council reports?
Mayor, I just would like to let the council and our directors know that through the partnership between the city of Euless and Six Stones has donated 2 pallets of Mars candy to the city for trunk or treat for Halloween. And not only have they donated them the 2 pallets, but we're holding them in a refrigerated space until October 30th, so they don't melt. So
That's a good thing.
So just like to thank again our
We
partners.
need a sampler to make sure that we're still okay. We'll just serve on that committee.
I think the mayor samples first.
Okay.
And thanks to Ray McDonald for helping to coordinate all that with Alex Orton.
That's great, that's amazing. Jerry, I won't take you down away from you, but are you gonna make a comment about the award we received?
You accepted it. Go
You
ahead.
accepted it.
And then I know.
We, Teresa Alexander, she was mentioned at the annual get-together of COGS, and Chief Brown, he received an award with the member cities, other cities, I think there were 5 other cities that part of that project, and you were awarded along with your staff and the city staff with the project of this group ticket writing. So I'll let you elaborate on that if you will.
Well, I think what it had a lot more to do with was actually the posting of bonds of, when we bring someone into custody, before we would have to write the bond, and the bond would go into an escrow account, and then we would release the people, and the other city would be 30, 60 days before they got their money out of the escrow account. And now it's just instantaneous. Once they pay, the money goes straight to them, or in our case, it would come straight to us if someone was arrested in, say, Halton City. And so we're no longer 30, 60 days out collecting this money.
That's my piece on that right on. But Teresa Alexander, name was mentioned, and
Oh, yeah, she was very instrumental in dragging us into that. Well, you know, sometimes you like things comfortable, and she kind of got us out of our comfort zone. It was just a great compliment to her that she saw the worth and the value in that.
she worked very hard.
That is the cities of Arlington, Carrollton, Euless, Grand Prairie, and Plano that received this joint cooperation award. It's the 3rd or 4th time we've won that. For the airport. It's a pretty frequent winner of that. We're a cooperative bunch.
Yes, we are.
And thank you for accepting it.
Mayor, my pleasure and your steed.
Thank you. Does anybody?
This is not as good as all these other things that were mentioned, but I had a request from a citizen after our town hall meeting for us to consider having a bus route for the kiddos in South Euless and far North Euless come to our swim center, and maybe 3 times a day, morning, noonish, and later in the day, so that these kids, and it makes a lot of sense. I don't know if we have the capacity to do it or the ability to do it, but I'd like for us to look into that. There was a time when kids rode their bicycles all over town, and they don't do that today like they did years ago.
Did you do that?
Huh?
Did you do that?
Absolutely.
I did too. A long way.
Yeah.
In fact, my wife grew up on Dunaway in South Euless, and she tells the story before South Euless Pool was there of walking or riding her bicycle to Midway Park, which is hard to imagine from Dunaway down there where Mr. Holland lives. But yeah, that's a good idea. In fact, Ray will give us an update in a little bit on South Euless Pool, and then CIP meeting Thursday night, we're going to discuss this a little more. So that's what the alternatives that should be a different approach. Look at all those alternatives.
Anybody else?
I'd like to share my wife and I and friends had a fantastic time Thursday night at the pavilion at Texas Star with the Houston Shades.
It was
It was a
wonderful.
great,
night.
wonderful evening
Yeah.
with a great sunset.
Great music, great everything.
Thank you guys.
Good job. Kim? I'm done to report. Mr. Training on anything?
I don't,
Are you sure?
Well, I mean, Kim just said she has nothing to report. Perhaps the person that had the best time out there was Kim.
Yes.
Yes.
Kim was, I mean, she was
That's my kind of
jigging and jogging, and I mean, I did not think she was old enough to remember most of those songs. So the moral I took away from that is Kim is much older than I thought she was.
And there were only 3.5 of them. They had food enough for about 8 people.
That was really, I was good range that was y'all, and that was really, they were good. We had too many people there, but y'all, the dinner run was good, and I was directed over that partially, but on those several days. Cheap splits on that. Let's see.
No. I don't have another report. It's your show now.
I had one report, I don't think it was long, so I don't really have anything to report, other than to remind you of our meeting Thursday night. Tried real hard to be here. Mr. Price will not be here Thursday night, and we'll have lots of good discussions on lots of projects, and including the swimming pools. So, with that, Mayor, I think we're ready to start into our presentation, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
All right, our first presentation is from the North Texas Commission, the presentation of the Vision North Texas Initiative, and Mr. Jack Tidwell is here with the presentation.
Thank you, sir. Again, my name is Jack Tidwell. I'm with the North Central Texas Council of Governments. I've had an opportunity to see the area grow, particularly in Euless. Talking to somebody earlier, my wife came from Austin to hunt me down. She lived in Euless, so it's always a fun time to come out and see where that took place. Today, I'd like to talk to you about the progress we've made with Vision North Texas, and a report that was recently, about 4 years ago, came out, North Texas 2050, with a tagline that I'm hoping I leave you with is for a future that's better than business as usual. Because as you'll see, some of the challenges we face are going to be quite intense, and business as usual may not be as. I'm going to answer 3 questions, talk about 3 questions. How did we get here? What are some of those challenges that I mentioned as business as usual unfolds? And how can we do better? These are a succession of slides that indicate the developed areas in 10-year increments. And as you can tell, we have grown significantly as a region. That's a good thing. But it provides some unique challenges in terms of congestion, traffic, water supply, and in a myriad of others. We're going to talk about that right now. In terms of the 5.3 million people in 2000 to 6.5 million in 2010, you can see that they are generally in other places than Dallas and Fort Worth. And that's also a good thing. That means we're having a lot of growth over the region as a whole, but it also provides some very infrastructure questions and challenges to respond to that as well. In terms of population projections, we're looking at a total of almost 12 million people by the year 2050, supported by 7.2 million jobs, distributed the same way we talked about before. What type of challenges does that represent? I swear I didn't cause the rain by including the raining picture of 183, but we all deal with one of the very real complications, which is traffic congestion and transportation. One of the roles that the Council of Government plays is the Metropolitan Planning Organization for Transportation. And in terms of their planning, the upper left-hand corner describes the levels of congestion in kind of a ramped up pink to red flow. As you can see, by the year 2035, under kind of the business as usual, we're looking at a lot more congestion. The lower right-hand corner is even the more sobering picture, because it says even if we are able to get all the dollars we can possibly get to address congestion, that's what we're looking at, given the population and the intensity that we're anticipating in the future. That should wake everybody up in terms of their experience with transportation. Air quality is obviously going to be impacted by that, and the air quality issue, as many of you are aware, is kind of a sliding issue in terms of however the rules are being promulgated and interpreted. But on-road vehicles is a big part of the issue. That could, non-attainment could cause some serious headaches in terms of transportation funding. I was talking a little bit earlier with some folks talking about my background. I'm an environmental planner by training. So projected growth in water supply is something that strikes home to me in terms of watershed management and those sorts of things. We are looking at a 2.1 billion gallon per day requirement in 2050. That would be exceeding the available water to respond to that need without some extra water coming online or a lot more conservation. A lot of components to that water conservation strategy are being talked about, and it really should be a high priority for the future discussion in North Central Texas, all the communities.
You bring up a very interesting point in your previous slide, about our water storage capability. And our efforts Department of Oklahoma, I know we really met with just basically statements of taking it from the Supreme Court that that's not going to happen. So I'm curious that you still have Oklahoma up there. Is that discussion still going on?
The realities of that are the status of appeals, the status of where litigation and how they can sweeten that deal for both sides of the equation is still up in the air. We think that will likely come off, depending on the population projection that Oklahoma is trying to respond to. But so far, I haven't wanted to make any declarative statements on that, certainly.
I understand. And I hopefully next time you bring back your report, you'll give us some sort of analysis. You may have another slide that you may have coming up, but analysis on our water conservation to see how we're making an impact on a $2.1 billion number. I mean, the gallon number
We have worked with water suppliers and purveyors throughout the region through our activities at the Council of Governments. I would be happy to come back with a more detailed
That'd be
description
great.
on water conservation in partnership with some of those folks.
Awesome.
In terms of stormwater and the implications of the water quality in our natural resources, the rivers and streams out there, that extra population, that extra development is going to be difficult to deal with. Communities are currently facing those challenges in terms of the stormwater permit program. Loss of open space and insufficient natural areas it's going to be a very big issue in terms of it's no longer an aesthetic, it's actually acknowledging the level of water resources and other infrastructure value, say a floodplain provides, rather than having to build it artificially. And a lot of our local governments are acknowledging that value. Projected growth in electricity, as long as those two curves, the pink line is the available resources, the blue line is a firm load forecast. This is done by ERCOT. The closer those lines get together, the more we should be concerned, because extra power generation is very expensive and very time consuming. Right now we're in good shape, but we need to be aware of that into 2050. How can we do better? The North Central Texas Council of Governments on its members' behalf has partnered with UTA and the Urban Land Institute in this effort we call Vision for Texas to get this message out, to get the idea that a better educated resident decision maker is the better customer for us. We certainly want to build support for the various initiatives, but we mostly want to serve as a forum for discussion because y'all are the experts. We came up with North Texas 2050. This is a report that's been available online. It's been generated a lot of interest. The American Planning Association gave us a national award for innovation and commitment to regional planning. The vision is all about providing choice and empowering our local governments to really commit themselves to say that North Texas is recognized worldwide as a region that is economically viable and vital because it has a lot of choices and that it nurtures its innovative people, businesses, and its various natural assets. We're trying to achieve that through 12 principles of development excellence. These are very broad concepts that we are encouraging our local governments and also our other partners with Urban Land Institute and UTA to investigate what does housing choice mean. Back in the day, you would mention housing choice and it may not be a very popular thing to talk about. Given the population, the future that we face, some of these issues may be more ready for reception and constructive conversation. One of the areas that's been evolved over the past couple of years is the concept of healthy communities. Fort Worth has been a leader in their Blue Zone initiatives. The Tarrant County Health Department has been a very aggressive voice in trying to bring information to recognize how healthy our communities are and what a challenge that is going to be as the region gets older and looks different than it currently does. We've also proposed at least the concept of talking about policy areas and centers. In other words, recognizing the values that are out there and saying, do we want that into the future? And if we do, we need to have policies for our member local governments and the development community to achieve some of these concepts. We certainly think a preferred future for North Central Texas with all local governments accommodates anticipated growth. We can't build a fence. We want to offer opportunities to all the region. That's a challenge, that's a unique challenge in North Central Texas. We're as urban as Dallas and Fort Worth, but we're as rural as Scurry. But we really take a commitment of serving each one of those folks in their best interest and by providing additional choices for North Central Texas. We are going to look different. School-age children are going to represent a slightly smaller share of the population in 2030. The idea of the impact of school and education on the economic vitality of the community is going to change. We're going to have a smaller labor force in terms of age ranges. We're certainly going to be an older population in North Central Texas, and we're going to be much more diverse. One of the more interesting conversations that has struck me close to home is we recently took in a niece who was going to UNT. I live in Louisville, she's from South Texas, so we were kind of a transition from small town to big town. But she didn't drive. And I asked her, why not? She didn't want to. And what that anecdote has, I've been curious in finding the research, we're finding that there is a growing transit-oriented population out there where younger 16-year-olds aren't racing to go out to get a license. And that may change some of the landscape of the region into the future. We certainly want to provide and allow y'all as local government representatives, elected officials, to provide the neighborhoods, jobs, and services that your communities demand, because those demands are not going to be the same as they were in 2000. That business as usual as concept, one of our more creative speakers has said is dead. I think it was Mayor Moncrief actually said business as usual is dead. Perhaps not that dramatic, but it's going to need to be a lot more flexible into the future to meet these demands. What I'd like to do as I wrap up is to say we are trying to continue communication and build on our partnership that we've had with ULI and UTA, keep on building on the success of the Center of Development Excellence and those 12 principles by having this conversation. We want you to take this message and discuss it. If you have any questions or have folks that need to hear it as well, please let us know. We want to really call you to action because this is an issue that's not going away. And the earlier we begin to have this discussion, the more options that are certainly open to us. So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you. Hopefully I didn't blow my time, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions?
I think it's probably more of a comment than a question. You can correct me, please. The economy of the North Texas area, is it like the 16th largest economy in the world? How close am I?
I think you're very close. I don't know the exact. You talk about Texas being like the 8th largest economy globally.
Right.
Certainly, the type of engine that's represented in North Central Texas makes up a significant part of that.
I find that extremely amazing. We've said this in the paper, we've had those reports numerous times over the last couple of years, and to sustain that growth in the future, I think that's going to be an extreme challenge, especially if you keep urban planning.
Well, in terms of the technologies and the different customer bases that are out there, I think the future is bright because we don't have a challenge like a Detroit or a Rust Belt or those folks. We have a lot of space to make some choices on, either wisely or not, and that's going to be the real challenge. When you look at the placement of infrastructure, the idea that the 50s and 60s you can kind of build your way out of a problem, build it and they will come, those dollars don't exist anymore. So some of the choices are going to be, it's not going to be rocket science, it's going to be what's available or what's possible.
And when did your wife graduate from Trinity? What year?
What, from UNT?
Did she grew up in Euless?
No, she came from Euless. She came from Austin to move to Euless because I lived in Arlington and she lived in Austin, and I think she wanted to do something about that. So it's been 12 years of happily wedded bliss ever since. Who knew Euless was romantic?
We all know that.
You all know that, okay. Well, again, thank you so much for the opportunity to come speak to you. I'm glad the thunder didn't roll during some of my declarative statements, or I would have really been in trouble. So if there's any way we can assist you, please let us know.
Thank you very much.
Oh, before I move on, I should have made an announcement earlier. I had an email a little while ago from Jeff Morris that was telling us that they're running the fire school, the kids camp over here at the fire department this week. And on Thursday at 11 o'clock, they're going to be landing the PHI helicopter for the kids' benefit. 11 o'clock, the northern part of our parking lot, so there'll be barricades and hill. here in town, sharing it. I'm sure the library has 20 apartments. It's really kind of an northern half of it. One parking lot, but it's not that much. Just to let you know that's going on. And then we discussed the swimming pool, and we probably will not have any trouble keeping it full right now because of the rain. I had a text while we were sitting here with severe thunderstorm warning and a flash flood advisory going on right now. So we need all the rain we can get. We don't really want to be flooded. We need that rain. It's really needed in East Texas. Watershed. Ray, talk with us about the status of the South East Pool.
Well, you'd have thought with the rains over the weekend that there would at least be a drop of water in South Euless, but Suzanne, I went by there earlier today and there was not even a sign of a drop of water in South Euless pool. Y'all know every year we face some challenges going into the season. In April, when we start filling up the pools, we keep our fingers crossed and hope that we can get through another season. And about a week into it this year, South was losing more water than normal. And so we did some just kind of preliminary investigating on what we knew we could investigate on. And we quickly realized that there must be a second leak, or the original leak must be getting much worse. So we could not keep a safe pH level in the pool, so we decided to just close that facility, drain the water. Suzanne talked to American Leak Detection today. They're coming out Friday. So we will be filling the pool as best we can. They need water in the pool to do their tests. So we will be out there with them on Friday, and hopefully we will find the source or sources of the leak and be able to bring y'all a more thorough report at some point later on the status of South. So Wilshire is functioning well so far. The Aquatic Center is doing well. In fact, if you were to look at the numbers year to date, they are probably a little bit, well, I don't know, with the current weather, they're probably neck and neck with last year, because we got some days in May this year that we didn't get last year, you may remember. We didn't open until June last year, but attendance numbers, revenue numbers, concession numbers, they're all very close to where they were last year. So having another successful year at the Aquatic Center at Midway Park. So, but we did want to let you know about South, and as we know more on Friday, we will certainly report that to Mr. McCamey and ultimately to you all.
You know, as I said earlier, we'll be having a discussion Thursday. We'll try to bring you some preliminary options. That pool at South Euless is on life support. It's whatever this company finds of a very inexpensive check, it may show that there's some little minor thing. It still has a huge water leak. And so I don't really have a great deal of optimism whatsoever that that thing is going to be open. And so I will let people to try to do that diagnosis, the word that something about that pool was built in
42 years old.
42 years old. It's got cast iron pipes. It is, at the end of the day, they're rusted out. And you can put all the passion you want, but it's not going to make it. It can be totally rehabbed, but the cost is absolutely prohibitive. And we'll make recommendations. That we strongly recommend again spending the kind of money that would have to be spent down Main thing is, we'll provide you, not the answers, and hope you don't come expecting the answers, but we'll provide you a little insight into what direction we might be able to go in. Like I stated, that thing there is, questions, comments? Thank you. All right, we had, there was a question that had come up at one of our town hall, or at our most recent town hall meeting. We're very well aware of the tragic accident that occurred at the Driftwood Pipeline. There were some people that had great concern about that intersection. And we wanted to give you just a very brief update on what some of the current concerns were and what the actions have been taken, what status they were.
As we looked at the intersection, we went and adjusted the pause between the green and the yellow from 1.5 seconds to 2. I think that's the only one in the city that we've actually got that spacing between, but that's one of the things that we did. We have looked at the flashing light, or the warning light, that approaching from, I guess, east and west, and the manual uniform traffic control devices gives us a range of where we can place that prior to coming to the traffic signal, and it meets that standard, so it's good. We wanted to check that before we actually put some, what we're calling some warning strips down on the pavement, which will actually be 3 chevrons that will actually run diagonally across the approach lanes as people are coming from both directions. Those, again, will be prior to that warning light, which will give them another heads up. It'll be a small amount of noise as your tires run across those 3 chevrons. We did a traffic count, and I was amazed in the 24 hours there were 15,000, almost 16,000 vehicles that came across our traffic count in 24 hours. Another thing I was pretty well surprised and pleased about, we were close to meeting the speed limits. We didn't really exceed the speed very much, but I think there was one at about 2 in the morning that went through there at 60 miles an hour. You didn't catch him?
Yeah, that was mine for
But overall, it was pretty close to the speed limit as we did those counts. We hope to have the striping down, those 3 chevrons I was talking about, Thursday or Friday, assuming we get a dry day to put them on the pavement. And on the 3rd of July, we hope to have the trimming that needs to be done that would clear the vision of those 2 traffic signal heads done as well. And that's about all I have.
There's been all sorts of remedies prescribed. For the most part, a lot of them are already in place. That they're likely to be a claim on that accident, so we're not going to say a whole lot about other than just the public results of accident investigation. Said at the time, maybe it was a tragic accident that was a very, very typical D-line intersection accident with a red line. We put all the signs that we wanted there. Some people were suggesting that we needed signs with flashing lights. They didn't realize that they already existed, and it actually existed out there. I think that's some practice. So it's not. We don't know anything else we can do. There have been suggestions that yellow cycle be extended, and if they have it extended, there's a period of time that if you extend it too long, people just anticipate and they go out on their own. So there's some of that defies logic, but that's the reason we have the traffic manual that we follow. And also program signals to do what everybody wants to understand.
What's the lag time between when it's red here before this turns green? I think that would be more urgent than how long the yellow is.
2 seconds.
Okay.
Well, that doesn't sound like much.
Well, it does when we're sitting there.
Look at the NBA shot clock.
Yeah.
Time at the end of the game, 2 seconds is a long way
yeah, if you're running the red light and there's a 2-second delay, we want you to close.
But is there a yellow light during that 2 seconds?
No,
Oh,
No.
no.
I thought I understood you to say that the yellow light had been moved from 1.5 to 2 seconds.
Well, the pause between the lights is 2 seconds now where it was 1.5. Yeah.
Hey, I didn't say that.
How does the yellow light work?
Oh, I don't know if I can explain that.
That's okay, I wouldn't understand.
Basically, the thing's frozen for 2 seconds. This is what,
There should be nobody in that intersection
Yeah,
during
yeah.
2 seconds.
I don't know if there's still people out there that demand or that require for more, but that's really, there's not. I'm not sure there's a whole lot more that can be done.
On our, amount of MVAs we have at that intersection, is it higher than other intersections?
You had one in the year,
One MVA in a year.
There's been one since then, I think. I think I saw in your 24-hour report there was one. I thought it was in the last couple of days, but it was very minor, and it was a rain. Rain, yeah.
What does the chevrons or the rumble strips, how do those perform in icy weather? Does that stop up the snowplow or the sand
No.
machine or anything?
They shouldn't, and we don't have snow plows. The sanding won't be a problem, and they're very cheap to put down. They'll eventually wear out and we'll have to replace them.
Oh, it's like.
It's just tape.
Oh, it's tape.
Yeah.
It's essentially what you see as the stop bars on a major intersection. On a minor intersection, it may be painted, but on major intersections, it's thermoplaster.
Right.
It's kind of a thick
Okay.
coating that's put on the ground. All it does is give you a little bit of visual and a little bit of feeling.
Yeah, what color would that be? Is it like gray or silver or white or?
Well, actually, we were putting down black. We're a little concerned about drawing too much attention to everything in the road because people will start noticing what's in the road and not the car in front of them.
is there much noise when you're going over?
No. And we're replacing, if I remember correctly, not adjacent to a house anyway. That would be.
You got 15,000 people driving over something.
Yeah. I was sleeping. And so we'll see how that goes.
You know, I think that flashing light is basically towards the eastern edge. The one eastbound is towards the eastern edge of that Marshall Shopping Center.
Right.
And the one westbound is
Okay, so the chevron's going to be by the light.
It'll be before the.
Before the light, okay.
right before, so it's, I don't know if you're going to be able to even, I don't know if it'll be a discernible noise.
It's almost a field.
Yeah.
And I know we've met with those individuals, and we had any feedback, or their
My grandmother.
Chief Brown, any expectations?
They are thankful for anything we do.
Okay.
I spoke with Mr. Brown, who is the president of HOA, he said, you know, if we could have some type of multi-layered approach, and I laid out what we were thinking, he said that sounds good.
For the most part, they're all pretty happy with what we're doing and what we're attempting to do.
I know y'all drive just like everybody else. You pay much attention to the red light intersections. You can't hardly approach the red light and not see somebody running. There's certain places, I travel around to Scarwood, several times. I know when that light turns red, I mean, green on Ramsey, you better look before you Speaking of traffic, I want to let you know that, Michael, do you want to tell them about the move on?
Oh, yes, sir. Friday and Saturday, this coming up weekend, between 9 p.m. and 10 a.m., they would like to put the final layer of pavement on the westbound service road. So that will have the effect of shutting off the off-ramp between, as you're westbound to go to West Parkway. So that would be between 9 p.m. and 10 a.m. Friday and Saturday night. Will not affect the north and southbound on 157. It will just affect your ability during those times to get on the service road.
Traffic, as you know this, Ms. Vandenberg had mentioned it at our town hall meeting about when we're going to put new manholes that we leveled out. The leveling is the final course of tax law.
So they've got a blackout date during the 4th of July weekend, so they would anticipate the following weekend doing the same thing on the eastbound lanes on a Friday and Saturday, and that should be it for the pavement on the service roads.
That is very good news. Okay, any questions on that? All right, at our last meeting, Mike discussed with us the proposed nursing home. What do you call that?
Skilled nursing
Skilled
facility.
nursing facility. The North Industrial and Ash Lane, and we promised you we'd bring back some more reports for you, and so he has done that and provided that tonight.
There were at least two general areas that we took away from the brief discussion that we had that y'all wanted some follow-up. One issue was the overall quality of the design, building materials, and construction. And we showed you some pictures that they had provided to us that really was different. This picture is different than what they initially had proposed. They had initially proposed a development that would have been far more stucco and is not nearly as handsome. They actually had made, I'm saying this tongue-in-cheek, the mistake of showing the property that they had developed in BK, that area, the affluent area outside of Austin. And Stephen Cook and I looked at it and showed it to the city manager's office that that's handsome. That's handsome. So their commitment is to bring that product that would be predominantly the Austin stone look, as you can see depicted on the exterior elevations. And we had shown you previously the interior shots that would give you some feel for the level of quality that they might propose for this project in Euless. The second general area was, what about the company? How long have they been in business? What about managing the properties after they're developed? They're a 20-year-old company. They've developed 25 projects over that time. They manage 20% of those, or 5 of the 25. What they would like the opportunity to do in their presentation, as part of their presentation to y'all, would be to explain the quality of the services that are provided through those facilities, even those that they have sold to other management companies. And what they would like for you to believe is that the quality that you're looking for in terms of the management is there in those properties that they developed, even those that they are not currently managing.
So, Mr. Collins, their business model has changed where they're actually going to maintain their properties as they build them?
They don't know. I mean, it's an economics. I mean, if this is performing at a high level, high occupancy, they're generating the income that they want. They get a good bill of health through the state licensing, and it's a good quality, then that can mean a return for their investors. And they cannot, in the discussions that we have had with them at the staff level, they've not made a commitment about whether or not they would manage this property. What we have done is simply made a representation that when the Evergreen project was coming through, that was the senior housing that had been proposed, that the city council responded very favorably from doing some on-site tours of their facilities and the fact that they did manage that. And we weren't saying that you wouldn't necessarily think that if they didn't manage it, that it wouldn't be quality. We just represented that we believed that y'all had responded favorably to the fact that this company would continue to manage the properties that they develop. So they're aware of that issue and they want to be able to address that.
I think the truth of the matter is, and probably at the last meeting, there was a little more representation that they intend to hold it and manage it. And I think what you got is just the reality that there's no one going to be able to promise you that. And so if you go back to the quality of the facility and all the various amenities, quality of the construction, that gives you some comfort level. Because we live in such a changing time. In any nursing home, a lot of beds are Medicaid. We don't know what Medicaid reimbursement is going to be. What is going to, and their success here is probably most likely to fully pay beds that they're drawing from families in our surrounding areas and some parts of our community. And if they can build those things, they're good to go. If they're not, well, but I think it's, if our expectation is for them to promise us that they will build it and hold it, I think we probably need to tell them more than that as well, because that's reasonable to do. And I'm just worried that it's micro, it is, because you're going to loan money on something that you can't sell. We don't do that on most things. On some very small projects, we do. Yes, you do for someone going into the rental space, but when the Target Center, the center manages, when they build that, it's our comfort level is quality of the development.
It's really no different than an apartment complex goes in, they're gonna build it, in 7 years they're gonna sell it, or less than that. And then 7 years later, they're gonna sell it again. I don't think we can sit here and legislate that, yeah, you can come in only if you're gonna promise to own it forever. Because even if they own it forever, they get a new CEO, and the new CEO can say, you know what? We don't need to be doing all that landscaping. We don't need, we can't. There's no, you can't guarantee the future. All we can do is guarantee the plant they build, and then our codes and everything will have to hold them to that going forward. I don't see if there's any way, I mean, if I were a developer, there's no way I'd go in there if you're gonna say, I can't ever sell the product I own.
Well, I mean, I made this kind of decided pretty much over the same voice in our last council meeting on this topic. And I've talked to a lot of people I know live in the area, and I received no negativity to the project. So, after discussing with the people who live up there, they said, we have our choice. And I was totally off base. I assumed they probably going to try to have a townhome or something upscale like that. And I said, if we had our choice, we prefer to have this type of facility. So, once again, when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. So I just want to represent those citizens that live up there.
I don't think it's a matter of being wrong. I think it's, you raised a very good question. And I think we need that. So probably I'm wrong, but to seek the input of the residents around.
Yeah.
And as we pointed out, you got one sitting right out here. That facility can't become much else. I mean,
That area there, yeah.
You see master nursing homes and less nice, but most of that's inside.
And Gary, you were man, probably might remember this. I mean, the nursing facility we had behind Middle Super Valley Pharmacy, I just do not want to turn into that facility, what it was before we got shut down.
I agree. And what did it become?
Yeah.
It became little, small offices.
Exactly.
It did not become
20-foot wall or whatever, and if you're out and about, there is a similar topography at the corner of 1709 and Kimball in South Lake. They have chopped about 30 feet off of there was a huge church on the hill, and not only is the church gone, but they have dug out about 25 feet or some amount. So drive by and it looks different, but doesn't look bad, it just looks different.
And they intend to maintain that western side in somewhat of a native
Yes, sir.
style and cleaned up.
Yes, sir.
Of course, they're not going to have a parkway with a wall.
That's correct.
But remember, you will see every bit of this in greater detail. All our discussion last time was just kind of conceptual thought before they invest too much money in there be